So our minds work against us. Um, don't ignore my little Korean blanket right here. Our minds work against us, not for us, because of your life, because our lives, because no child enters adulthood unscarred, and because our hearts have been broken, because we've faced rejection, we have failed, because um, through our life and through traumatic events and through all the shit that happens in our life, um, it becomes to wire us a certain way, and we start internalizing that, whether there's situations, events, or relationships. No one, life is hard, right? We know this. And so, because of that, our minds don't work for us. They pull us into the past, they make us doubt ourselves, they create monsters, they make us very afraid. We all walk with very hot stoves, or we think they're hot, but they're not on. And because of this, our potential, our happiness, all that stuff is very distant, and many times, sometimes feels unattainable. The good news is that your minds can work for you, but it takes a lot of work. You have to train it, and there's a lot of ways into that, and there's techniques and concepts and theories. The For me, the door I would like to go in, I think that's the one of the most powerful. That's the mountain to climb, is your belief system. I think there's tremendous power in belief. Um, Remember what Christmas was like when you believed in Santa Claus? And do you remember what Christmas was like when you found out that it was all like a made up story? By the way, that's the shittiest thing. I don't understand. I can't imagine watching my kid set the milk and cookies for Santa and write Santa a letter, knowing that a few years later they're gonna realize that Santa doesn't exist. It's just a disappointment and the devastation of that. I don't understand. But anyway, maybe that's a poor example. When I was in a fraternity, they made us, and another poor example probably, they made us, they were hazing us and they're fucking with us, and they made us put our hands in, blindfolded, our hands in the toilet bowl, and they would have a soggy banana in there. And of course, they told us it was shit. And because we believe that, the resistance and the feeling and the panic um, was equivalent to if it really was shit. And my point in saying that is there's tremendous power in belief. So, how do you change your belief system? That is the question. And it's a process. It's a process. I think starting with realizing and being aware of what is faulty. Like everything starts with your thoughts. Everything ends or begins with what you think, how you think, and then there's feelings, emotion behind that, and based on that, we behave a certain way, right? So, questioning how you think, questioning what you believe, um, is the beginning, and from there, knowing the patterns that you fall into that makes your mind not work for you, and leading into new patterns. And this is wiring, this is creating new pathways, and it takes work. It's training, like physical training, it's mental training, um, slowly and gradually until you start changing your belief system. And one of the ways to do it is, I think one of the most powerful ways, is to set yourself up for a new experience, because this is what I teach in my classes. Giving people an experience is, there's nothing more telling than experience. And when you experience something different, there's a shift that happens in your brain where you start to believe something different. And when you start to believe something different, that's when everything can change.